Welcome to River City Plus, the River City After Party, where we get to take a deep dive and have some really great conversations with some of our special guests. Now, today we have Mia Sin in the studio, and I'm so excited because you've been on River City Live really for years now,
So long.
but this is your first time on
yeah.
River City Plus.
I know. I'm so excited. I know we talked about this last time I was here a few months ago, so I'm excited to just chat. You know, we don't have 3 minutes. We can just take our time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I know that everybody gets to see you on air, and you always have really great, to the point, simple recipes that are all about flavor, but also with that nutritious twist that you always put on them. And I'd love to just know, first of all, how you got into nutrition. Like, when did you know this was going to be kind of your lane that you were driving in?
Yeah, so started in college. I my family's like very science oriented. I have a science brain, and so I always gravitated towards the sciences. And when I took a nutrition course, I just thought like this science is so different. It's so cool because it applies to everyone. Like doesn't matter
Yeah.
who you are, where you live, like we all eat every day. We all make those decisions and what we're eating is affecting us just like the way we feel, the way we look, our health, our longevity. So it was just kind of like this cool world to tap into. So
Yeah.
ever since then, I went full throttle nutrition. My bachelor's is in human nutrition, metabolism, physiology, and metabolism. And then I did my master's in human nutrition, and then I became a registered dietitian. So all I really know is nutrition, but I love it. It's such a new science as well. Like there's new research coming out. Just in the grand scheme of everything, it's very new. So, and it's always evolving. So it's exciting. It's such an exciting field. I love it.
It is really interesting, and I love that you mentioned that you just really loved the science behind it, because I think especially today in the world of social, and everybody who has Google gets to kind of claim that they're this life coach, they're a nutrition coach, they're a health coach. And anytime that you talk about something, you always have such an increased amount of research behind it. Like I can give you a bag of pecans, or like today on the show we talked about pistachios and the amount of stuff that you have, and when you're talking about a Cornell study that just
Yeah.
released. So you always have this active mind when it comes to new research. Now, how did you take that knowledge base and start creating recipes? Because that's a science in itself, is cooking and trial and error, kind of turning your kitchen into a lab. It's very lessons in chemistry, that's like a show that's really popular right now. And I feel
Yes.
like you kind of went through your own phase of that.
Yeah, so I think my evolution from being very science based, in a lab, very research heavy, to kind of that creative side, the cooking side, I think it really stemmed from social media. So, I had this passion for nutrition, but I also loved writing, and so that's what got me into social media and on Instagram, and I've grown this big following over the years, and people love recipes. It's so
Yeah.
visual, and so that's what got me into it. When I create recipes, I really look, how can I infuse more nutrition into this? I'm not like an all or nothing person, all about moderation and just putting a nutritious twist on dishes that we know and love, and also easy. That's kind of
Yeah.
my lane. I personally like, I'm busy. I know other people are so busy. And how can I get food on the table that quickly, that's good for us, that's easy, that's delicious? So that's really what I focus on.
Yeah, I love your TikToks and your reels that you'll go through, and you'll say, okay, here's 3 ingredient meals from Trader Joe's,
Yes.
or here I'm spending 10 minutes in Whole Foods and here's what I got. Just things that we can actually grab, go, and do. Because I think you acknowledge that no, we don't all have time for a 20-step recipe.
Right.
If I did, I probably wouldn't be here. I'd be like
Yeah.
probably be off like with my
I
own cooking
know.
show or something. But
Time is
those are
limited.
time, and parents and moms and dads are so busy, and even young professionals are busy, and that's often where we fall off, is that ease of eating.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone is so busy. Like just everything's grabbing our attention these days, and so I'm here to make the nutrition, the eating part easy for everyone. So, and I know that my followers love the Trader Joe's reels
Yes.
and videos, and I just had one go like really viral. It was this pot sticker soup, and people just went crazy over it. It's just funny to see like what resonates with people, but I'd really try to create content and share ideas and tips that people can use and implement into their everyday life.
Yeah, and like you said, you're not a no person. I've never heard you say like, don't eat this, don't do this,
Right.
which I really appreciate, because you almost feel just like bad if you remember
It's
this
not
like,
realistic.
this one influencer that was like, don't eat that, it just kind
Right.
of, it's giving you that almond mom vibe.
Yes, yes. And that's another thing. Nutrition is really a tricky field because there's so much misinformation out there. I mean, every food is good for you and then it's bad for you,
Right.
and so as a dietitian, we are kind of the gold standard when it comes to nutrition. We're learn, evidence-based information that we relay to the public. And so it's important when you're seeking nutrition information to seek out a registered dietitian because I think like anyone can call themselves a nutritionist. So it's a hard field to work in sometimes because everyone has very strong opinions.
Sure.
And a lot of them are, valid. Like nutrition is very personal too. So what works for someone, may not work for someone else. But I'm just coming from evidence-based perspective. What does the research say? So yeah, it's a fun field, but it's growing and people love it.
Yeah, and I think it's great that people are taking more of an interest in nutrition now, and
Yes.
they are looking for influencers and dietitians like you, because you kind of have a foot in both worlds,
Yes.
which has to be cool. So something that actually a lot of our viewers wanted to know was how you went from being in that research field, being in that more clinical registered dietitian field, to creating this on-air personality that you're kind enough to share with us, but also you broadcast all over the nation with your content and sharing
Yes.
your ideas.
Yes, it's grown so much over the years. But when I was in graduate school in New York City, I went to Columbia, and I really love writing about nutrition. And a lot of people in my class were going to medical school. They wanted to go that route. And I just wanted to write about nutrition. And so that's when social media was kind of becoming a thing. And so I was on Instagram just sharing facts about nutrition. And then that evolved into recipes. So it really happened organically, like before the whole influencer thing
Right.
was a word.
Before
and
this is a thing.
Before it was a
Yes,
thing.
once upon a time, this wasn't a thing.
Yes. So
Wasn't a job.
I'm pretty like old. I guess that like ages me a little bit because I think it was almost 10 years ago. And then it's just grown organically, and everything kind of grew organically. So I moved to Charleston, which I love. I love living in the Southeast. And I was asked to go on a show in South Carolina, in Greenville, to do a segment for Meatless Monday. I think they found me from Instagram, and then it just kind of didn't stop. And then I started broadening, different stations that I go to. Some of my family's in California, so I'll do segments there. And then
Right.
I love coming here, and Chicago, DC, yeah, all over the map. But I love being able to join those two interests, my nutrition background, and then the media side, the writing, and the on-air stuff, and get to be creative, and even though I'm so science brained, but I love being
Right.
creative as well. So it's so fun. I love what I do.
And then, in all of your spare time, somehow you also figured out the time and the place to write a cookbook. So what did that process look like? I was like, I don't know
Yes.
how she fits all of this stuff in. You're like Beyonce over here of the nutrition
Oh
world.
my, of the nutrition world. Well, you're the Beyonce of the media world, so. But yeah, so I have always wanted to write a book, or maybe not always, but for the past like 5 or so years, that's really been my goal. And I had a few opportunities to do it, but a lot of them just weren't the right fit. Like they kind of controlled the topic, and so I was approached by a publisher a few years ago, and they gave me complete creative control. And I had this idea in my head for a while now. Like I had written stuff like, oh, this is what I'm going to add to my book someday. So it's called Mostly Plant-Based. And so it's not an extreme. It's not like veganism or vegetarianism. It's just choosing mostly like plant-based foods, fruits, veggies, whole grains, legumes, but also incorporating animal protein because I also think that's so important. But a lot of Americans, I think, eat too much of it, and
Right.
that can be detrimental for our health. And so I have a chapter called Treat Meat Like a Condiment. So just kind of reframing how you view meat and animal protein. But I also talk about how nutritious it is. Like it provides these bioavailable nutrients that we can't get from plant foods. So it's also so important to incorporate into your diet. So that's kind of the basis of the book. And then there's 100 recipes that are all follow that ideology where, mostly plants, but also incorporating that animal protein mindfully. And yeah, last year was the year I wrote it. And so it was all consuming. I was just constantly recipe testing and photography, writing, but it was so rewarding. It came out last December, and it's in Barnes and Noble, on Amazon, wherever books are sold. And I'm coming up on the 1-year anniversary that it's been out. So yeah, it's my little baby. I need to give you one. I still haven't given you
I know.
one, but I need to bring
Every time she comes since this book has come out, I'll be like, "Great! I need a copy for you to sign." Oh wait, no, it's
Okay,
fine.
I promise.
I will order my own and get you to sign it. Every time I'm like, I'm gonna get this book, and because it's also a beautiful book. That's one thing I have to say. Shameless thing about me, I like when things are aesthetic. I like when they're pretty. I like
Oh,
when
yeah.
they're on brand. I like when they're easy to listen to, easy to understand. Like they're just,
Yeah.
you create everything for you is beautifully branded. I have to say, like all of your photography,
you.
all of your videos, just even when you come in here, everything is beautifully on brand, but also beautifully researched. And I love that you have found a way to combine those two.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I know we eat with our eyes, and so
we do,
I
yeah.
definitely take that into consideration when developing recipes. What's going to photograph well, and so that, and then the nutrition aspect. So it can be kind of challenging, checking all those boxes.
Yeah,
But-
I know that has to be a challenge. Now, if you wanted to give somebody one piece of advice when they were thinking about maybe creating their own brand, taking their piece of expertise and creating a book or creating a brand around it, what would be your piece of expertise that you would share with them?
I think something that I think about when I first started is consistency. So being really consistent about creating content and information that's valuable for people and that people could benefit from, and they'll want to keep coming back for more. I know that was what I did the first few years of social media and just just always creating valuable content that could help people. And so, and it can be hard, it's like there's excuses. It's Thanksgiving. I'm not
Well,
gonna,
it's like a
but
full-time gig.
it's-
We've
it's
lamented
that
about
too.
that before as we're both filming things on set because we both need something to post that
Right.
day. But you've
Yes.
got to feed the beast, right?
Yes, and even if I was working in the hospital, and so I was waking up early and creating content. So just finding time to squeeze it in, if it's important, it'll really pay off. Just consistency and high quality too. But yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that with us, sharing your
Yes.
insight. I love too the fact that you shared, that you had opportunities that you said no to just because they weren't the right fit for you. So I think that's also a
Right.
great takeaway is just being aware of the right opportunity for you and the brand that you want to build. It might
Absolutely.
seem great. I mean, Tim Tebow talks about, like $1 million commercial that
Yeah.
he could have shot, like literally made $1 million in a day. But his coach said that he really wanted him to be the best player that he could be that day. And he was like, that means me not shooting this commercial that day and going to extra practice.
Oh,
and I'm
that's
like,
awesome.
you got to really want to be good at what you're doing if you're turning down $1 million. You know what I mean? But
That's a hard
it's-
decision,
But
yeah.
it's making those choices to say
Right.
like, this is the right fit for me. This is true to me. And this is true to my brand.
Absolutely, yeah. And just know, if you really believe in what you're doing and the quality of content that you're creating and what you're putting out there, I knew that the right opportunity would come. Like I
Right.
knew in my heart that would happen. I just didn't know when. And so, yeah, just being confident in your skills and your abilities. And yeah, that's cool about Tim Tebow.
Yeah.
Makes me like him more.
Right? Like we needed another reason.
I know.
Just like you, like we needed another reason to like you. And now that we know you're just this like beautiful, shiny scientist, author,
Oh,
nutrition
thank you.
maven. I just love you even more. So thank you for taking the time to sit down with
Absolutely.
us.
This is so fun. We got to do it again.
Yes, absolutely. We'll catch you next time on River City Plus. Now tomorrow morning, we'll see you in the studio at 9:30 for River City Live.